Hi there, so glad to have your company for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Welcome, I am Theodore Henry. In today's show, opportunities to invest in prime UDC properties. Later, find out how to identify a case of sudden cardiac arrest and what you can do to save the life of someone affected. Sit back and relax for these and more informative features coming up in the half hour.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
A number of people who suffer deadly health conditions such as sudden cardiac arrest can be spared the worst if given appropriate and immediate help. In HealthWise, we look at how anyone, even you, with the requisite training can identify and respond to a case of sudden cardiac arrest to save a life.
You're up and about, going through your routine activities. Suddenly, you collapse without warning. Your heart stops beating, and within seconds, you stop breathing. A quick check shows there's no pulse. All signs of sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest, SCA, is a condition in which the heart unexpectedly stops beating. When this happens, blood stops flowing to the brain and other vital organs. The person may die if not treated within minutes.
So the way you decide if they're having sudden cardiac arrest is, in addition to seeing if they're conscious, calling to them and seeing if there's any response, you need to feel for a pulse. So you'd feel at the neck, at the angle of the jaw, or you could listen for the heartbeat by putting your ear to the patient's chest. You need to see if they're breathing. So if they're not breathing, they have no pulse, then they're in cardiac arrest.
SCA is not to be confused with a heart attack, which happens when blood flow to the heart is blocked. However, a heart attack can lead to sudden cardiac arrest. Another way to look at it is, a heart attack is a circulation problem, while sudden cardiac arrest is an electrical one. The immediate cause of most SCAs is an abnormal heart rhythm as the electrical activities of the heart becomes chaotic and the heart is unable to pump blood to the rest of the body.
We're all at risk for sudden cardiac death, so we need to know our numbers and our status. What is your blood pressure? Do you know what your blood pressure is? Do you know what your cholesterol is? So we might be a walking time bomb and we don't know. It's not just people who appear healthy who are at risk. Somebody can be overweight and you say, oh, they're bound to drop down, but somebody who is slim can drop down as well. It just depends what the other risk factors are. So I just think the only way we can know is to know your numbers, know your status.
Among the conditions that trigger sudden cardiac arrest is coronary artery disease, a more common cause in persons over 35 years old. Also, cardiomyopathy, in which the heart muscle becomes enlarged or thick and weak, as well as inherited disorders that may cause parts of the heart to stretch and become weak. Other conditions include disorders of the heart's electrical system, as well as heart defects that were exhibited at birth. Persons who have a family history of sudden cardiac arrest or heart disease are also at risk. In contrast to elderly persons, cases of SCA is not prevalent in children.
But the children can be born with some types of heart disease that make them have a higher risk for sudden cardiac arrest. That is usually picked up if they have, sometimes at birth, because of the abnormalities. But even if they're corrected, they can still have an increased risk of sudden cardiac arrest.
Highlighted cases of SCA in student athletes in recent years prompted increased focus on evaluation for the physically active.
I would like to encourage all parents, if you have a child who is involved in any team sport, any physical activity, or even a lot of physical activity, and if they're not on a team, to please have your child checked. Carry them for sudden cardiac arrest screening. We have it at the Heart Foundation. We can come island-wide, or go to your GP and have your child tested.
A victim of sudden cardiac arrest can survive with the quick action of a bystander who is able to apply immediately cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR.
You will start resuscitative efforts, which would include compressing the chest in order to get the heart going. You may or may not breathe for them. Nowadays, it is not, a lot of bystanders balk at starting CPR because they don't want to put their mouth on the patient's mouth. And I mean, that's a real concern. Studies were done a couple years ago and they determined that compression-only CPR, so just pressing on the chest alone, is of value.
If available, an automated external defibrillator, AED, can be used within a few minutes to restore a normal rhythm to the heart. These may be available at certain places such as airports, stadiums, and other public and business places.
If someone has developed chest pain, they've grabbed their chest, they've sank down on the ground because they're having chest pain or they're not breathing properly, you don't start CPR for that. They need to get to medical attention immediately. But you would only start CPR if the patient is pulseless and not breathing.
Following that bit of first intervention, which must take place within the first 4 to 5 minutes of sudden cardiac arrest, the patient will need to be moved immediately to a hospital. The Ministry of Health since 1996 has been partnering with the Ministry of Local Government through the Jamaica Fire Brigade to expand its provision of pre-hospital service.
We recognize that transportation of patients to hospital is a vital part of the chain of survival. Certainly from the patient suffers an incident to the point at which they reach hospital and get care. The transportation to hospital is important, and not only in terms of the time that it takes, but also in terms of the support that is provided during that transport.
You're supposed to have a defibrillator on the ambulance. You're supposed to have basic drugs which a trained paramedic would be able to administer to continue advanced cardiac life support. And when they get to the hospital, which would have been alerted from the ambulance that we're bringing in a cardiac arrest victim, the team would be waiting at the door of the hospital to receive this patient.
Based on the value of CPR in saving a life, the Ministry of Health has been partnering with the Heart Foundation of Jamaica to encourage more Jamaicans to get trained in CPR. And this important life skill is everybody's business, so get trained and be ready to lend a hand when the need arises.
My mother taught me how to work for what I want. And if you don't work for it, then you don't deserve it.
They always tell me, be yourself. Don't try to be like others.
They help me through tough times, good time, bad time, they're always there for me.
Once the family is good, teach the children the right things, then them can grow up on the right.
Let's get a little breeze on this land. All right. Now let's get some bounce in the rhythm. All right. Let's get some fire on our hearts. Now that is what we call all right. Run, come, get some Jamaica.
In carrying out its mandate to make development happen and help spur growth in the economy, the Urban Development Corporation has decided to put a number of prime investment properties up for sale or divestment to suitable investors looking to do business. We'll look at these investment opportunities in this next feature.
Prime real estate properties in St. Ann and Montego Bay. Major developments for Kingston. And over in St. Catherine. Investment opportunities being offered by the Urban Development Corporation UDC as it moves apace to advance development across the island. The discussion was vibrant and interest very high as the UDC engaged private sector stakeholders with shovel-ready projects for partnerships that will create a positive economic impact. The slate of projects include housing, commercial and office spaces, entertainment and culture, as well as hotel and parking garage. The event was the Jamaica Stock Exchange's 12th Regional Investment Conference in January.
What we want to say to Jamaica and investors is that the UDC is ready. We have a number of plans that are on our books that we have gotten promulgation since 2010, 2011, and we are now ready for implementation and detailed production to move ahead with those plans.
Those plans include a total transformation of downtown Kingston. Discussions are far advanced for an operator for the completed Festival Marketplace Phase 1. The plan calls for a complimentary boardwalk along the waterfront, sidewalk cafes, and areas for entertainment. This area will be the center for nightlife and economic benefits for downtown Kingston. Commercial activities are expected to increase in downtown, as already preparatory works have commenced on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs building and Grace Kennedy head office, and also with the United Nations House set to come on stream. Still downtown, investors were intrigued to learn of developments such as a multi-story parking garage and an area for the construction of office space and the renovation of the Oceana Hotel. Renamed Caribbean Place, it will accommodate a hotel, office spaces, and apartments. More housing solutions are designated for the waterfront on West Street. The prospects generated a conversation with investors, and the take-ups are promising.
I'm very thrilled to know that you all have properties available and investments available. We are currently looking for a 100-acre lot to possibly erect a studio in the near future.
I came ready, looking for real estate, looking for entertainment and investment opportunities. When I look at the downtown mixed-use development opportunities, that's an area where I have significant background and expertise.
The reception for me meant that people are now coming into understanding the role of the UDC in driving economic, environmental, social, and cultural development.
The Urban Development Corporation shared more development opportunities for investment, this time in Portmore, St. Catherine. Private sector investors were invited to partner in the continued redevelopment of the Fort Clarence Beach Park, making it a one-of-a-kind recreational facility with great economic potential. There are 4 prime properties now on the market in Portmore for lease or sale for commercial development. Real estate developers were also urged to take advantage of offerings of 11 acres of prime beachfront property in Cardiff Hall Runaway Bay St. Anne, as well as 21 acres adjacent to the golf course. Both are suitable for resort or residential development. Also, along the north coast, in Montego Bay, the UDC sought to attract developers to bid for the development of lands at Seaside in Rose Hall, directly opposite the Montego Bay Convention Center, as well as a partner to invest, develop, and manage the Catherine Hall Entertainment Center.
With what we have on our plate now, there's another 5 to 15 years of massive transformation based on Vision 2030 that needs to happen.
And that's why the UDC is looking for private investors with financial resources, development experience, and management expertise to come on board and make sustainable economic development happen in Jamaica. To learn more about the work of the Urban Development Corporation, call 656-8031 or visit their website at udcja.com. You may also follow them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit their information center on the ground floor, Kingston Mall, downtown Kingston.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
An upturn in mining and related activities promises much for socio-economic growth and development. Nain and surrounding communities in St. Elizabeth are gearing up to benefit from new investment in this area. On July 19, 2016, mining conglomerate UC Rosal and Chinese firm Jiquan Iron and Steel Company JISCO signed an agreement for the sale of Alpart at a ceremony in China. Full consultations on the sale have been taking place with the Jamaican government, which has to receive and consider the best plans for structured and sustainable implementation. The administration is balancing the country's economic growth aspirations with environmental protection concerns.
The government and JISCO will be paying great attention to the environment and its protection, which are critical in the project construction and production. JISCO will have to strictly abide by the relevant law, regulations, and order from the Jamaica government regarding labor, health, safety, and the environment.
The sale is expected to be finalized by November 2016, setting the platform for preparatory work on the first phase of investment totaling $220 million to modify and upgrade the bauxite plant. JISCO's operations will be supported through a local registered office in Jamaica and a dispatch of some 200 persons on special work permits. Young Jamaicans will also be trained in China at JISCO's university through an exchange program. Importantly, the company says it will continue to employ existing Alpart staff and will recruit most of the former and available employees, creating approximately 700 jobs by the start of the first phase of improvements. Plant modification and upgrading is projected to run from December 2016 to December 2017 and will improve production efficiency and reduce production cost.
After the modification period, that is the post-December 2017, JISCO would have accomplished critical processing upgrading of relevant equipment such as digestion, filtration, calcination. This is expected to not only reduce production costs, but also enhance the effectiveness of production.
The plant will benefit from China's best engineering alumina production capabilities.
Designing Institute, Shenyang Aluminum and Magnesium Engineering Institute is working for JISCO. They specialize in the mixed process of bauxite exacting. And this new process will greatly raise Alpart's competitiveness and production capacity. That approach can achieve 2 million tons of alumina per annum in half year. And that's good news and hopefully exciting news for the mining industry in Jamaica.
2 major sub-projects are also to be undertaken, which will see the upgrading of Port Kaiser and addition of a 1,000 megawatt electricity generation plant.
In this regard, JISCO is currently exploring 3 types of resource, including natural gas, shale gas, or artificial gas, coal to gas for Alpart energy modification.
JISCO also plans to build out a complete industrial zone once this power supply plant is up and running. This $2 billion investment will comprise the bauxite mining operations, alumina refinery, a local electricity network, electrolytic aluminum, aluminum fabrication including aluminum rods, tubes, and other industrial products. Openings for new businesses or expansion of existing ones using products out of the zone should provide opportunities for other value-added productions and a string of related services.
All of which should send a message to the Jamaican population that their opportunities align to that productivity level for small and other businesses to develop around it.
The Ministry of Transport and Mining, facilitating sustainable integrated development.
On the board this week, Knox Community College, under the auspices of the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands Cobbler Campus, presents College Day under the theme Forging Forward, a New Horizon Beckons on Wednesday, March 15, 2017. Gates open at 9 a.m. Activities include displays, lectures on health and entrepreneurship, competitions, simulations, games, and many more. The Norman Manley Law School Students Association will be having their exposition and lecture celebrating the life of the Right Excellent Norman Washington Manley at the Norman Manley Law School, University of the West Indies, Mona Campus, Kingston 7. The exposition will be held on Wednesday, March 29, 2017, and the lecture on Thursday, March 30, under the theme Sports and the Law, Implications for the Economic Landscape of Jamaica. Residents of Portmore, come and join the Greater Portmore Baptist Church Communities for Christ Road March this Saturday, February 18, starting 3 p.m. at the Greater Portmore Baptist Church. Join in the March for Christ, peace and community development. Remember, through Christ we can build stronger communities and transform a nation. The University of Technology Jamaica will host its one-day Festival of the Arts at its Pepin campus on Thursday, April 6. The festival will be held under the theme Raise It, Unleashing the Transformative Power of the Arts. The festival begins with an art exhibition at 10 a.m. which will be followed by a 2-hour panel discussion and workshop on careers in the arts starting at 11 a.m. A debate on the relevance of a mandatory arts and culture syllabus at the primary and secondary education levels will take place at 3 p.m. and a cultural showcase at 6 p.m. And that's all for our community notices today. Send us your events for broadcast on the JIS Community Notice Board. Call 922-868022 or send an email to cbishop@jis.gov.jm.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. The governments of Jamaica and Venezuela have signed an agreement to execute the Petrojam refinery expansion project at a cost of approximately $1 billion. The expansion will increase Petrojam's crude oil capacity from 36 to 50,000 barrels of oil per day. It will also facilitate enhancements to the plant, including a desulfurization facility to reduce the sulfur content in diesel, a delayed coker to produce higher quality products such as gasoline and jet fuel, and a vacuum tower to produce vacuum gas oil. Finance Minister Audley Shaw has signed a $326 million loan agreement with the China Exim Bank to finance the new Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. The agreement was signed on Thursday in China. Meanwhile, Jamaica is to benefit from increased investments in infrastructural development and other critical areas following the signing of a framework agreement with the People's Republic of China on Thursday.
The signing agreement for development, cooperation on productive capacity and investment is a signal and a manifestation of our mutual commitment to moving forward together in a very constructive manner.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness broke ground on Thursday for the construction of a 150,000 square foot business process outsourcing BPO space in Portmore. The $23 million project is being implemented by the Port Authority of Jamaica and is expected to be completed in 1 year. Prime Minister Holness says the project is evidence of government's commitment to fast-tracking critical investment programs.
My job is to reach into that deep pipeline of projects and rip them out, cut through the dense bureaucracy that sometimes becomes self-serving, and get to this point.
Finance Minister Audley Shaw says 84 public entities are to be merged, closed or divested as part of government's ongoing rationalization of the public sector.
And it's not a plan for anybody to be nervous about, because if the plan is implemented in a productive way, as we are doing in this case, this is a win-win for everybody, including more efficient governance.
Minister Shaw was speaking at this week's contract signing to divest the operations of Cape Manners Track Limited to Supreme Ventures Limited. National Security Minister Robert Montague says claims circulating on social media alleging that persons are being abducted and killed so their organs can be harvested and sold are entirely false. He says not a single case of any deceased person appearing with missing organs has been reported to the police or examined by the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine. Ground was broken on Tuesday to construct a new school building to deliver educational and vocational training to inmates at the Tamarind Farm Adult Correctional Center in St. Catherine. The facility is being built and furnished by Food for the Poor at a cost of $3.19 million.
Every inmate must get an opportunity to be exposed to purposeful rehabilitation so they can be successfully reintegrated. You have created the life-changing opportunities that are going to allow the men here at Tamarind Farm to get more opportunity to reach their maximum potential. You're giving them the second chance that they deserve.
On Monday, the Transport Authority and the police began enforcing legal provisions mandating the removal of tints from public passenger vehicles.
For motor cars, no tint will be allowed on the back windscreen of the motor vehicle. No tint will be allowed on the two front doors, that is the driver's door or glass, and that of the passenger. No tint will be allowed on the windscreen of the motor car except for that 6-inch visor from the top.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority's environmental management efforts have been boosted with the receipt of 55 garbage skips worth $17 million. The skips were handed over by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund to be used in 30 communities across the island. And starting this September, the Ministry of Education will be fully covering the examination fees for secondary students on PATH and wards of the state sitting the CSEC, NVQJ, and Caribbean Vocational Qualification CVQ examinations. Education Minister Senator Roel Reid also announced that the ministry's regular grant for primary schools will be increased from $850 to $2,500 per student as of September.
In addition, increased support has been provided for further infrastructural development and the maintenance of selected primary schools.
And those were some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
Our land has been suffering from immorality. The crime, the drugs, the bloodshed have only brought more sorrow.
We must change and give our children a brighter tomorrow. Let's renew our pledge to God as we work to heal our land and fellow man.
Let's join hands across Jamaica
for righteousness.
Let's join hands.
Let's join hands across Jamaica
for righteousness.
Pray, eternal Father.
Bless this Jamaica land. Let's join hands and hearts together and make Jamaica a land of love.
And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Join us again tomorrow, but if you can't wait, you can click on over to our website at jis.gov.jm and our YouTube channel to get the latest government information. Also, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and you can download our app from the Google Play Store and the Apple Store and stay informed. I'm Theodore Henry, reminding you to take care of your health and make every day a productive one.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.